What's up guys, ToadSlayer72 here, and today I'm going to show you how I tie the FG knot. It's really like a variation of traditional FG. I like to think of it as more of a minimalist FG knot, simply because I don't incorporate as much of a weave or as many half hitches. And for my style of fishing, I'm able to scale this knot down, and I'm comfortable with it. I've been using it for quite a while. I moved away from the Alberto knot. Not that there's anything wrong with the Alberto, it's just that I wanted a thinner knot. And this style of knot is much thinner than like the Alberto or the Albright, and I think those knots are definitely easier to tie, and I think they're all strong enough, so my priority became to get a thinner knot, and that's where this comes into play. So I have 25-pound P-line CXX, which is a copolymer. That's my leader material, and I have Daiwa Samurai braid 80-pound. So you start with your braid, just toss it on over your leader. And your working length will vary depending on how much of a weave you're going to create, how big. I only use 10 wraps, so I know about what I need here, and that's about right. So we're going to start with the tag. You tossed it over the leader, and you're going to bring it around, under, and back over. And then you're going to take your standing line, your main line here, and do the same thing but in the opposite direction. Now this is a very intentional and deliberate method for doing this. I've seen some videos where these guys are like, it's like they're doing yo-yo tricks, they're like ba 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 ba, and it's really cool. They got this really fast method to create this really big long weave, and if you're doing one of those big saltwater FGs, I can see where that's beneficial, but again, for my style of knot and the way I do it, I don't need all that. Alright, so I got my ones, I'm going to do 2, I'm going to stop at 5, which is the halfway point for me, and cut to a different camera angle. It's 3, 4, and you see I creep up after I create a new one, pinching the knot here too. There's 5. And now that's what we got. That's the loose weave. Alright, I'm going to go shoot the rest now. Alright, what's up guys? As promised, I'm here to finish this knot. Now I've got half of my weave created, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how I cinch it down a little bit. You've probably seen this already, this technique, but I think at some point, depending on how big of a weave you create, whether it's a halfway point or every third or whatever, you should probably bring it down a little bit, cinch it down a little bit before you do your final. So being right-handed dominant, I keep both of my braids in my right hand, my tag in my main line, and then I have my leader in my left, and I'm going to take the tag of the leader and bite on that. Now first we moisten. It's critical to any knot tying, as I'm sure you know by now. So all this is done under tension now. I'm pulling my hands out, and I got tension on the tag of the leader with my teeth here. So you pull out, and then I'm just going to roll my hand down with the braid in it. And you can do this a couple times. You can manipulate the weave there to make it more uniform. And you just roll it down. That closes it up, draws it down a little bit. I don't go crazy tight at this point. I see dudes going nuts, cranking on this, back and forth. And they might tell you they never have any issues with their knots, and that's cool. But I have it in my head, a certain logic here. You're thinking that in order, for that finger lock to do its thing, I think it needs some room to slide down and bite in to the leader. And you get that when you do your final cinch down. So if it's like super tight before you even get to that point, I don't think it's going to move much, and again, I could totally be wrong on that, and that's fine. If I am, I am, but like I said, it's in my head, and anything that affects your confidence, whatever you're doing with this fishing stuff, I mean, especially if you're trophy hunting or what have you, you just have to be on point with feeling comfortable with everything you're doing. So that's why I roll with that in that way. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. I got 5 here. I'm going to do the rest. My 6s, my 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. Alright, now that's it for me on my weave. Minimalist style. Same technique for drawing that down. Just going to go real quick with this. Bring it on down. Alright. Another thing I'm in the habit of doing is at this point I just like to slide this up the leader. This is still loose, and I just like to get on a fresh line. It probably doesn't make a difference one way or another, but like I said, it's just a habit. Alright, so now it's half hitch time. I'm sure you know about doing the half hitches. They always tell you to alternate them. I did recently see a video of a dude that he says he doesn't alternate it and never had any problems with it. I think it probably wouldn't matter, but I'm just gonna stick with, you know, what I know, what's proven. And I only do 3 anyway, but I do alternate them. At least these 3. I do another 3 at the end of the knot, braid on braid. I'll talk about that when I get to that point. But there's my 3. And now it's time to lock it down. Here's where the knot, you know, comes together. You test it, everything happens at this point. I love these things, the finger savers. You used to only be able to get them at High's Tackle Online, but Tackle Warehouse also has them. Maybe some other spots, I don't know. Obviously you don't need them. You could use, you know, wooden dowels or whatever you happen to have lying around, like the handle of a screwdriver, or, you know, like a glove or a rag or something. Your old lady's drawers, if you happen to have them lying around. Good for you. But something at least on the braid side, you know, because the braid will light you up. And when you're wrapping your leader around your old lady's drawers, don't crisscross it, you know, because you can damage it, because you're going to, you know, put some pressure on this. Alright, so one last moisten, and here's where the knot comes together. Here's where it does its thing. I'm just going to roll my hands out now, and this, yeah, that draws down. Now I don't go crazy hard on that either. I mean, you could go real hard with it, and I've done it to try to break it, and I've broken them, you know, pulled them apart sometimes. But in my opinion, you're not going to simulate that amount of pressure in that, you know, isolated, confined area like that again during your normal fishing, because you have the length of your leader, stretching that, you have your rod, and even your drag if you don't lock it down. So your whole system is absorbing, you know, the pressure all around, and it's, I just don't see it happening during normal fishing where you're gonna, you know, put that same pressure on the knot in that one little spot there. So if it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail right there, and if it's good right there, then it's good for good. So now we get rid of that, and you can be done now if you want. You can trim your tag on the braid and do whatever you normally do, glue it or fuse it, whatever. I like to do another 3 half hitches, so I was alluded to earlier. I do that just to create a more of a transition, a smoother transition on the back of the knot. I just, if nothing else, I just don't like the annoyance of the clacking through the guides. You know, it's pretty abrupt with just those first set of half hitches, the way it ends. So, and I finish my knots with UV knot scents. I actually have a way of doing it where I leave a little bit of a tag, little piece of it on the braid, and I actually taper it down even smoother with the knot scent. It's a little bit involved. I'll probably shoot a separate video of that showing how I do that. But UV knot scents is real cool stuff. You should look into it if you don't know about it. I've heard about it for years, but I just recently, probably about last year, I say, I started getting into it. But anyway, there you go, man. There's your FG, your Minimalist FG. It's a nice thin knot. Like any knot, you know, you practice with it, you'll get better at tying it, and you're not going to beat that as far as, you know, your knots go, as far as the thinness, at least from the main knots. There's other knots, the same type of knot, you know, the Sabile knot is another one. They just use that finger trap and some set of half hitches. But there you go. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and sorry it took so long to get another video out, but you know, life is always happening. All kinds of crazy shit's always happening, so I don't get a chance to do this as much as I'd like. But thanks for watching.